Here we go. Okay. So, Nick, talk to me about Punk and Rollins and Heyman. Did you like what you heard? Did they able to rekindle the rivalry? Talk to me.
You know what? I think they have, and it's solid. And what I really like is when this group first came to be, the night after WrestleMania, when it came to be built around Seth, and I really said I don't know where this is going, and people gave me I had an issue with me. Some people who don't totally understand when I said Seth has never really fully been given the ball or had the show built around him. And then everybody flooded me with, "Are you saying he's never been pushed? Are you kidding me? He's always pushed." And I said, listen, there's a difference between a push and being the guy that the show is built around. And some people understood it, but some people still didn't. And as you watch,
Nick,
yes,
can I just so people understand, give me one example of a talent where an entire show was built around.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena. Yeah, like that. There is people who are pushed. There are people who are in the gold circle that possibly can be in that special. And then there is someone that the show is built around. And I said, this looks like it's going to be Seth's first shot as the guy and going, here is your shot to be the guy that we've said that you said you were. And Vince never quite pulled the trigger on. And I've been there because, and I really, this isn't just an opinion. It's, I was the guy who was attempting to be in the group to take him to the next level. And every week, especially for several months, without Roman, it would be like, here's where we're going. Here's the thing. And then throughout the entire show, it was some kind of thread about Seth. And then we get to the end of the night, and it wasn't about Seth. And it's really hard to explain. And it bothered me because I was like, man, we're doing 6 segments out of this 3-hour Raw based on one guy being the guy here, and then it would never fully go through. So it's really hard to explain sometimes if you don't know the inner workings. I was there, especially a couple different times in a 3-man group with Strowman and Drew. We were trying to get Seth close to that, but Vince never fully went with it. So at this point, now that WrestleMania has happened, clearly it is his shot. And even now, it's all built around him. It might not work. It may not, but what we've been seeing has been really good. So here's the thing. He's finally getting his shot to have the show built around him, and not in a capacity where he needs 3 guys to have his back just so he can win and get by. No, this is him calling the shots, going toe-to-toe with Punk on the mic, having Heyman in the background, having Braun with him. And now it says he is set up to never fail. Now this is on him to rock and roll and go. And I did like their exchange back and forth. I love it when you can have something when there's, I don't know their real backstory, but when they know each other and can go a little further with some things, whether you imply it or actually say it. And there's just something, sometimes you see when someone comes out and you go, oh, this is the flavor of the month. This is someone getting their shot, going for a world title shot, getting their one moment. And this is the opposite of that. You can feel the built up momentum and frustration on both sides. And I like that they've gone to this story kind of a few different times, and it's been waiting to go. So now that it is completely built around, it's going to be around, 3 other people and 3 people on each side. It appears that's what they're going, or possibly Sammy turning on everybody, whatever. That doesn't matter. But what so far is the talking points back and forth, when you can use a bit of reality mixed in with the way you say things, not in a wrestling promo style, and just having that, seeing Seth with that confidence and seeing Punk frustrated. He's mad at himself, and seeing these 2 different things. It's so much better than in the old days. A couple of years ago, it could have been coming out like, I'm Seth Rollins, I'm the best. I got these guys watching my back. I'm the best. No one's better than me. And then saying some catchphrases. You're getting real life sentences that people would say to someone's face or behind their back in a group chat, because there's some realism to it. There's so many different layers.
The show built around. I want to isolate that for a second. And I completely understand what you're talking about. Yes, Seth was a guy that was hanging around the main event. Yes, he was a champion a couple of times. That doesn't mean an entire show is built around you. And now, yes, that show is being built around Seth, Paul, Braun, but Seth is definitely getting the push that everybody, I think, wanted to see back in the day. Show built around. Let me take you into a creative meeting for a second. This is what the show being built around you sounds like. And I'll go back to Vince, the Vince's time. Everybody sat at a table. They got ready to write Monday Night Raw. And the first words out of Vince McMahon's mouth was, "What do we have for Steve tonight?" That's when a show is built around you. So this is what we have. Steve is going to be in the main event. He's going to work with Rock. They're going to open the show with the promo. In the middle, we're going to see Steve in his locker room getting ready. That's what a show being built around you means. It's how many segments do we have for a certain talent? How much time are we giving this certain talent? And then after we get all that squared away, how much time do we have left for the remaining of the show? Now, what do we have for Drew? Now, what do we have for this other guy and these other gals? And how much time do we want to give the girls in the main event or whatever it is? So, yes, I thoroughly understand the show being, the comments you made about the show being built around Seth Rollins. A couple of weeks ago, I don't know if I was with you or whoever I was talking to, I talked about how it felt with Seth, Paul, and Braun together. It still doesn't feel comfortable, but we're getting there. For some reason, it doesn't feel as comfortable as Paul and Brock or Paul and Punk or Paul and Roman. How is it feeling to you right now?
In the same way, because I also said that the first night, I said, you know what? It doesn't feel natural. It was the first day. And I was like, this doesn't feel natural, but it's going to slowly, because in the backs of our minds, you've seen Paul with someone, it's for years and they have this relationship and it's built in. And when you see something new, you're like, well, it's not exactly the same as my nostalgia said it was for the other times. So you got to give it a little bit of time. Now, they working as a unit, we're a couple weeks in, it still seems slightly not well-oiled machine, like these are all friends on the same level, but it's not supposed to be. What they're doing as a team is coming out, and you have Breaker there to break somebody in half. You have Paul to manipulate, and you have Seth to be the man who walks around and can back it up in the main event of the show if he has to. So you already have the pieces in place. It's just going to take a few more weeks or months to have everyone go, yep, this is this understood thing. When they come out, oh God, we know what's happening. We know the deal now. We know it's like the version of the bloodline coming out, because we know what it all stands for when there's a group of people here in this situation. So I obviously, I'm a huge Breaker fan. I was one of the guys that kept going back to Vince. I'm like, are we going with Seth or are we not going with him? And and always almost getting it. And then Paul, obviously the mainstay of like special moments, the main event, being the man who's whoever he's behind is who this show is about. So giving that time, it should lead to something very special to a long-term down the line, years from now. We're going, do you remember that era? That was a hell of a time where Breaker was breaking people in half. Seth was calling all the shots, and Paul was behind the scenes pulling the strings. And till right now, I still like it a lot. And I like where it's going. I don't totally see the uniformly, and maybe they're not supposed to look like a uniform team like that. Maybe that's the case.
I agree with you. It's still a little bit away from the comfort level it was with Paul and Roman Bloodline or anybody else that he's with. Now, we know what Paul Heyman did for CM Punk back in the day. We know with Punk, it was a little different. It was getting Punk to that main event level because Punk could always talk on his own. Obviously, Paul needed to talk for Brock, and I think Paul, speaking for Roman, brought out the best in Roman as a speaker. You take those three guys, those three major Heyman guys. What do you think Paul has done for Seth so far? And what do you think Paul can do for Seth in the future?
I think a lot of times, and someone who was not in the meetings, but at least was at the show, when it came to the years back, 10 years ago with Paul with Punk or Paul with Brock, I feel like there was also it was understood that like Paul was in the meeting also pushing for these guys before he was with them, when he was with them, maybe even after he was with them. I don't know exactly, but that always, there's that character on TV and people go, oh, wow, whoever's with Paul, they're doing something big. It's a big deal. But when you're one of those people, maybe you're a smart Mark, and you go online and dirt sheet things, and some of it's real and some of it's not, and you're like, oh, behind the scenes, Paul is actually helping with ideas creative for the entire show. So whether he's with them, not with them, or about to be with them, those are people he pushed for it allegedly anyway already. So I think I just remember in Ohio Valley Wrestling, Heyman was a huge Punk fan, so I had that to go on, and based on what was happening on television and behind the scenes, and it was like, he's someone who can get things done for you, whether the cameras are on or they're not, or you're even on an off day and it's not Monday night. So it really was, when you have him behind you, watching your back, it's not just that TV character. And I feel like some people came to know that, like, that's actually someone who's making your career bigger. And then that fits right into this day and age, to where there is some reality based in, not just, I'm out here, I'm the best wrestler. Oh yeah, I'm the best wrestler, let's fight. There's the pieces of, you stole Paul Heyman from me, and on TV that looks like you're having an advocate for you, but behind the scenes, and people who know, that's having someone push for you to meeting. That is having someone who's like, hey, we'll take that, don't give us a shot. And it's like, when you have that advocate, it's not just a TV character. It is someone who is genuinely helping your career, and knowing what he did for Brock, knowing what he did for Punk, now knowing what can be, especially with Breaker in his corner. It looks like it's going to be Paul delivering again, but again, time will tell.
Yes, time will tell. Do you think it's a difficult task in the world of wrestling, where we're trying to get Seth Rollins to the very top? We're trying to get Seth to Roman or Cena territory, let's call it, but we have so much more in store for Braun Breaker. Like, we need to get one rung higher up on the ladder with Seth, and there's a bunch left for Braun to go. So does Braun in any way suffer from this? Are we splitting hairs here? How difficult is it to just get Seth up one rung, but bring Braun a lot further along the way?
I think it's going to be set up long term, and obviously you're not going to have Breaker doing a lot of talking. So you won't get so much of the extra layers to him, but you're going to get some layers to their relationship. I think long term, it's a huge move and huge win. They're saying, we're giving you a shot to be the Batista here in Evolution. Are you going to step up and be this guy that became someone that the world wanted as world champion? Time will tell, obviously, but it went from like that really is, in the weird way, the definition of a difference of, like, he was being pushed as Intercontinental Champion, as a badass, main event in Raws, kicking everyone's ass, spearing them out of their boots. That is a push, but it is nowhere near the top I'm the guy push. So being there, getting that rub, so to say, from Seth, from Heyman, and then most importantly to me, in those matches, I know they don't really do live events anymore, but when it comes down to some tag matches or a 6-man or matches down the line, he's going to be in there with some of the best. He gets to get in there with, I'm assuming, Sammy, Punk, whoever a third man is, if there's a turn over there, however that works. You're now getting the rub from people you are with and people you are against, and that makes you better for being out there with the veterans, period, let alone everybody, much like how you have to get used to that relationship with Heyman, Breaker, and Seth that will eventually settle down. You have to get used to, like, Breaker is now the guy that is not just in the Intercontinental scene. He might be main eventing a pay-per-view at some point in the next couple of months with huge, with everything on the line, or with something that needs to be done. So I really think it is a great position for him. He probably won't be talking. He probably won't. They won't. There's no reason on character-wise or television-wise to put all the responsibility on him, but to have him in that moment with all those key players, that is how you bring somebody up a couple of rungs, much like you just said, while we're attempting to get Seth that last one that makes him the guy that everyone talks about for the next 2 years based on what happened at WrestleMania.